It's another classic tune from the baddest guitar player of all time, but what can us mere mortals learn from it? Let's talk about that. Hey kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Over my many years as a guitar teacher and touring musician, I've learned thousands of songs, and they've all taught me something that stuck with me and helped me along the way. Mastering tunes makes us better players, and that's why every guitarist should learn Somebody Get Me a Doctor by Van Halen. God dang, Van Halen 2 rules. I know guitar nerds like us have been worshiping this album since the year of our Corgan, 1979, but I still somehow feel like it's kind of underrated, you know? I mean, you got tracks on there like Out of Love Again. You got a DOA. You got Light Up the Sky on there. And of course, the subject of today's video, the third track, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, which is one of my favorite Van Halen songs ever. There's so much about his style you can learn from this tune. It's fairly approachable. It's only got a few riffs in it and just a couple licks in addition to that awesome solo. And you can learn even more about this tune if you check out the extended and ad-free cut that's available to all members of my Patreon cult over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Sign up today even for just $1 a month. You're going to get access to that video as well as hundreds of other exclusive goodies like bonus videos, downloadable tabs, backing tracks, and so much more. People are calling it the best dollar you can spend all month and a potential cult. And they're right. Sign up today over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars, and I'll see you there. Whenever I'm shooting for those classic Van Halen tones, one of the first guitars I go to is my Suhr Modern swirl here, old cotton candy Randy. And one of the secrets of this is the Bareknuckle Holy Diver bridge pickup that I have in this guitar. I ordered these pickups from Bareknuckle in Aerosmith's favorite color, and it really adds a lot to the tone. We all know if you want that brown sound, you gotta go gold, which is why today I'm playing through the Synergy Syn 50 head using the brand new Marshall JMP module. This thing sounds amazing for those classic 70s tones. And I'm shaping that tone a little bit more out front using the Pepper's Pedals Dirty Tree, which kind of boosts the high-end sparkle and helps me get the low-end sounding a little bit tighter. Yeah, let's get into it. For today's video, we're going to be tuned down 1/2 step lowlier, and if you want extra Van Halen points, tune that B string slightly flat. That way the thirds sound a little bit sweeter. Tune kicks off with some big old classic chords here in the open position. Whenever you play those chords, be sure to keep your first two fingers on the top strings there for the first chords. That way the C sounds out as a C add 9. A see a lot of tabs have that as just a regular open position C, but you don't want to neglect the German interval, the 9, whenever you play that chord. Let's check out the main riff and some of the mysteries contained there within. As you work on this song, you're going to learn how to become a part of a great tradition that guitar players have been engaging in for almost 50 years now and will be continuing to do so for the foreseeable future, which is to say, trying to decipher just what the Eddie was doing on these songs. He's probably the most studied and analyzed electric guitar player of all time, with good reason. And there's still so many mysteries about these songs and exactly how they were played. We all play them a little bit differently, and we'll talk about that as we go along here. Now, to help guide you through those EVH WTF moments that we're going to encounter in this video, I've put together a little bit of a warning system that we can use to help us know when we're getting to one of those parts. Here it is. What the fuck was Eddie doing? For example, with the main riff right there, what is he playing? Is it this? Or this? Or something completely different? I really don't know. Actually, watching the first part of this video, I played it both ways, and they both sounded right. I didn't even know I was doing it. I'm going to be playing it this way today. This is with what Paul Gilbert recently called the chicka-boom. I was at the Woodshed Guitar Experience performing and teaching and all that jazz here recently over in Crossville, Tennessee. It was an amazing time. And I sat in on one of Paul's classes where he was talking about all this classic Van Halen stuff, and he played it with what he called the chicka-boom. Chicka-boom. Where you got 2 muted A string strokes and then just kind of opening up that fretting hand here so that you get the open A on the downstroke. Kind of like what you hear in that chicka-boom kind of sound. So if you don't think that's how it's played, take it up with Paul, not your good buddy Uncle Ben. I love that move. So this is kind of outlining a C, kind of with that classic Hendrixy slide-in approach, where we're sliding into the major third of a chord. Again, see your root note here is C, right? So what you're going to aim for is the note 2 whole steps above that. And then just play the rest of the chord here with your first finger. Gives you a nice first inversion sound of that C chord. After that, we got this move. That's like a D sus4, letting down that 4th here to a D major sound. So the main riff was based around A, C, and D, and as we get to the verse here, it's based around E and F, just keeping the alphabet going here. Here's how it sounds. In the third verse of the song, he takes that triad up chromatically all the way up here to G. It sounds like this. If you're really analyzing that harmonically, it'd sound like E major, F major 7 with E in the bass. This one, it's very much like an E Lydian sound. It's an E with an F sharp triad up top. And then this guy, I would say is like E minor 7 or even a G major 6. A couple different ways you could look at that one. Whenever you're playing that big old stretch, we still got to have that root note of E here on the A string. Be sure to keep that thumb super low. You'll notice my thumb is almost here at the bottom of the neck. That way I can use the full length of my fingers. If you're having trouble reaching some of those big stretches, it's probably because your palm is too close to the edge of the neck. See, whenever your palm is close to the edge of the neck like that, it puts the fingertips, the fretting surfaces, way above the neck. So to get them even on the strings, you got to bend them in half, right? That's probably why you can't make those stretches happen. But if you just lower the palm, leave some room for the Holy Ghost right here, it's going to help you with those stretches because you can use the full length of your fingers. The bridge riff of the song is really sick and sets up the solo perfectly. So we got 2 hits of that A, and then what the fuck was Eddie doing? Yeah, I'm really not exactly sure about this part. It sounds like he's pulling off C to G, but sometimes it sort of sounds like he's doing a double stop, like G and B string. It's really hard to say, and again, I've seen multiple covers of this where people play it differently. Even Van Halen plays it differently sometimes too. He's kind of a unreliable narrator on his own songs in a lot of ways. He was the only guitar player in the band, and he was an absolute genius, so he would just kind of play whatever he felt every night. So if you go back and watch different live videos of this through the eras, you'll see him playing it one way one night and a completely different way the other night. All we can do is guess. I love that, man, using a little bit of what we got here on the guitar to our advantage. After he plays that A, he really quickly drops the volume all the way off using his little finger, just rolling the knob down like that. Slams down the D and G strings on the 5th fret and slowly brings that volume up to give us that swell sound. It doesn't take a lot of force. You don't necessarily even have to like pick it and then roll it up. Just slamming your fingers down is enough. Early morning editing chair, Uncle Ben here. Sounds like I need to learn how to clean a volume pot, doesn't it? Some of that classic Van Halen tremolo picking here, just leading us up the A blues scale. Now, you know, Eddie does that fanned tremolo picking thing. I've never really gotten the hang of that. There's a lot of people that are amazing at it. But I've found one thing that really helps a lot is to hold the pick like Eddie did between the thumb and the middle finger. Whenever you have it held like that, you can really shake that wrist. I think about it like I just got, you know, out of the tub or something and I'm trying to shake water off my hands. It's that kind of feeling whenever you do that tremolo picking. You can do that really fast, indefinitely, and get a lot of volume out of it compared to something a little bit more locked in and traditionally, you know, guitar tremolo picky or whatever. So whenever you're trying to do that, try that picking grip right there. It really does make a difference. I think it just kind of puts the pick closer to the center of the motion or something. I don't know. Then we get to Eddie's guitar solo section. Now, once again, we have, as I have mentioned in the past 2 videos in the series, a key change when it gets to the solo, because a key change sounds cool, it sounds intriguing, and just like we talked about in the Night Train video and the Youth Gone Wild video before that, it moves up 1 whole step for the solo section. That whole step lift doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense from like a music theory perspective, but it does sound like the song really lifts when it gets there. You know what's coming when we get to this first lick, right? What the fuck was Eddie doing? Oh yeah. What is that lick, right? Okay, here's what I think is going on. Let me play a little bit more slowly here for you. Weird one, right? But again, it's up for debate. I even checked out some of my favorite players on the interwebs to see how they handled it, like Pete Thorne and Caleb Rappaport from the band Nerd Halen, which is like the best Van Halen tribute band on earth right now. Seriously, Caleb's playing is insanely accurate. But you can see from his positioning here, and Pete's as well, they take this kind of down the neck. Something like that is what they're playing. I watched some live videos and it looks like Eddie pretty consistently stays in the 7th position before he drops down to the 6th for that arpeggio at the end, so that's kind of what I'm going for here. The timing of this is odd, and this is really typical of Eddie's stuff. It's not like super locked into the grid, it's really floaty. You can tell he knew where he was starting and where he wanted to end, and sometimes the notes in the middle would just get sort of pushed or pulled to make it fit. So check this out. Did you hear that quick, like, slurred triplet? It's kind of this blur of notes to get him down to that F sharp minor arpeggio. Now, it sounds like he picks this note of the arpeggio, and then I think these two are just hammered on. And then we have another Eddie trademark, that like repeating open string pentatonic blues scale hammer on from nowhere thing. It sounds kind of like this. Isn't that sick, dude? It's that really percussive kind of thing we've heard like Nuno Betancourt take up, you know? And what he's doing here is he's palm muting the top strings really close to the bridge, and he's just slapping them on here. You can hear he's got the open B string pulling off there. And then he picks the open high E with an upstroke. It's a mess of notes. It sounds like he's falling down the stairs, and it's so sick. And he does this really arrhythmically. You know, I've tried counting how many times he does it, and Eddie's stuff just doesn't work that way. It goes at the speed of Eddie's nervous system. It floats over the beat really irregularly, and that's what makes it sound so awesome. It just sounds like he knew where he was gonna land, and he got out of that hammer on from nowhere thing just in time to get there. Now we've been in B, this next section changes a lot. It goes up to G, so we can play this lick. So we can see how this is outlining like a G minor. Again, just think about the shape more than the intervals or scales or anything. He probably saw this as like a G minor shape, and he could play that little dyad at the top, right? And there's your root note G. But then he plays this, which is like a G7 arpeggio. So you got root, third, fifth, root, and then bending up from flat 7 to 1. It's kind of that bluesy thing where it's sort of major and minor at the same time, you know? And then we have more key change shenanigans going on because the chords go from F to G. And then there's this walk up from B flat to E in whole steps. It sounds really weird on its own, but over all of those chords, he's playing this same kind of implied suspended lick. So that takes place over the F, right? So we can see how he's got root note F, second, third, and the fifth up here on top. And he's playing that like this. Kind of gives us that Alex Lifeson F sus2 sound. He was a big Alex Lifeson fan as well. Moves up to G. And then he just follows the chords, B flat to C to D. Well, he goes some of those classic Van Halen harmonics the first times. See a bunch of tabs for this that are wrong. They have you doing all these weird partial harmonics down here. It's not. It's just 12 to 7 to 5. And that's when he just takes that lick through the chords, B flat to C to D. You know, he could have gone all like space age modal jazz and played around those like Holdsworth or somebody, but it just sounds cool to play that same theme against this weird shifting matrix of chords. Because it's, again, an odd sounding sequence, but with him playing that same kind of sus2 lick over each one of those, it makes it sound very approachable. It never stops sounding like rock, even though the changes are really odd. Freaking awesome Eddie solo right there. It's short, but it's super memorable. And again, not too bad to play. It's just hard to try to hang on to those things that he's doing at the speed of his brain, like I mentioned earlier. You're never really gonna get exactly there. At least I know I won't. I've heard somebody say one time that like Elvis impersonators have this syndrome where they all sound like each other and none of them sound like Elvis. With very rare exception, that's how I feel like all of us sound when we try to play Eddie's stuff. We all sound like us doing what he did. None of us really sounds like Eddie. There's a few people that get really damn close. Like my man DeRaps, holy moly, that guy's incredible. He's probably the best in my opinion. But the rest of us all fall short of the glory. After that, he reiterates that main riff and he closes it out with this really cool random harmonic thing. Am I doing it exactly perfect? Nope. What the fuck was Eddie doing? Am I guessing that's what he did? You bet. You've heard Randy Rhoads, Zakk Wylde, tons of guys do this. It sounds like to me he's doing our typical kind of pull-offs here at the 4-2 and open on the D and G strings. You know, Crazy Train style. while he moves that right hand up and down the strings, just kind of hitting random harmonics in there with his palm. It's kind of a little guitar ASMR moment there in the song. But just make sure you're keeping light contact and moving that hand back and forth up and down the strings. Absolutely awesome tune with so much cool stuff that we can learn from it. It doesn't take that long to get down because it's just a few riffs. That solo is kind of nasty, but again, don't really go for trying to do this like note for note exactly like Eddie. He didn't do it that way either. So feel free to get a little bit creative and play what you think sounds right in those sections. Honestly, if you kind of do your own thing with it, you'll probably end up finding something cool that will become uniquely yours in the future. And honestly, I think that's probably how Eddie would have wanted it rather than us just trying our best to copy every single note that he played. Eddie will always be the king of electric guitar, and this song is a perfect example of why. So there you go, guys, a breakdown of what makes this Van Halen classic so freaking awesome. There's some pretty reliable tabs for this one floating around online. The Songster one is pretty dang close. But hopefully this video helps you fill in some of those gaps, and you're going to get even more out of it if you check out that ad-free and extended cut over on the Patreon page. It's got a whole lot more tone tips and all kinds of other good stuff in there. So don't delay. Sign up today, even for just $1 a month. I'll see you guys there. Thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And keep a good thought as you go through the week, guys. World is crazy out there. It's up to us to change it for the better, one act of kindness at a time. The change isn't going to come from a bunch of people at podiums wearing ties. Fuck that shit. It's up to us to be better to each other to make the world a better place. Now get away from the computer machine, grab that rock guitar, start mashing some rope. Less clicking, more picking.